I'd Take a Bullet for You. Written and read by Tasha Lewis. For people like us. Wrong city. Wrong people. Words that V only now truly understood as she gazed upon Night City in the early morning light. A city that had taken everything she had and still refused to let her go. Yet, here she stood ready to leave it behind in the shadows of her mind and never return. There was something both ironic and freeing about the journey she was about to embark on. V couldn't recall the last time she had felt this free. Her first thought was the day Jackie called to tell her about their meeting with Dex. The breath of relief she responded with felt like years of hard work were finally paying off. All for the minute possibility of getting on a fixer's radar. So the fact they had managed to secure a meeting was a feat in and of itself. But as she gazed upon this beautifully misleading city, she realized nothing compared to how she felt right now. That meeting with Dex only proved that she still had one last hurdle to jump, and instead of clearing it free of problems, she had crash-landed, cascading down the rabbit hole of death that so many before her had done, and would continue to do, long after she was gone. She had spent the past quarter-century battling the daily fight of survival in this god-forsaken city, trying to prove that she was more than the shitty cards she'd been dealt, so much so that it had taken the lives of the two people to whom she was closest, with her own death being the cherry on top of the cake. Night City's answer to all their efforts was to spit her out with a bullet in her head and a neural-destroying biochip. That being said, there was a sense that her decision to leave it all behind felt as though she was giving up, despite her heart telling her it was the right decision. That small voice in the back of her head was still creeping through. After all, this wasn't the first time she'd left Night City and failed to thrive outside its walls. Atlanta had proven to be a monumental waste of time. So, naturally, deciding to leave yet again less than a year later gave her cause for concern that history might repeat itself. This time, however, she wasn't going alone. V was an Aldecaldo now. She had a family, something not everyone in Night City had the luxury or opportunity to find. So perhaps this venture would be different. Perhaps that happy ending she was searching for wasn't so far from her grasp as she first thought. She wondered what Johnny would say if he was still in her head. The both of them stood side by side as she bid her final farewell. Would he be okay with leaving Kerry and Rogue behind? Would he even agree to come with her? No matter their hatred for it, Night City was their home. Both had forged themselves in the darkest moments of their lives here. They had both lost people who really knew them. It was the one place they truly felt at home. But, for the former guitarist, V got the sense his story wasn't yet finished. In the time she'd spent around those who knew Johnny, it was clear they still missed the hardcore rocker. And despite his narcissistic tendencies, disastrous commitment issues, and fear of emotional vulnerability, V knew he missed them as well. Not that he'd ever admit it, of course, but in their time together, she had come to understand almost everything about Johnny Silverhand. Even for someone as famous as he, Night City spared him no expense in the card it dealt the deserting rebel. During their last meeting together in cyberspace, Johnny had accepted his time was done. He made his peace with the world, so maybe he would be okay with V's decision to leave this bullshit city and the desert depths that surrounded it,